Okay, hello everyone. Nice to meet you. I want to tell you something about chatbots. Firstly, something about me. I'm a web developer, also on front end side, and with Node.js also on back end side with current database technologies like MongoDB and so on. And I like new technology and to work with cloud services on the AWS platform and also in Microsoft Azure platform. And I call myself also a chatbot and voice enthusiast. And I work since last year. We started a young startup in Dortmund too, with knowledge from the energy and e-commerce industries about Sparks. And our main unique selling points is we try to combine business values with new business models and scalability and process automation combined with technology feasible like agile software development and of course to wrap it with beautiful designs and user experience design. And yes, for my schedule for today, firstly I want to explain you what is a chatbot and how it works with a small architecture example of our chatbot, what we built for as an MVP for the energy sector, for the energy industry. And then some thematical use cases, especially for the energy sector, what we implement there with a shortly demo time, and of course at the ending some information about tools and frameworks what you can use for building and implementing chatbots, and of course voice user interfaces. Yes, what is a chatbot? Chatbot is a computer program normally designed to simulate a conversation, a more natural conversation with human users, especially over the internet. So maybe on a smartphone or on Facebook Messenger and so on. And mostly it's integrated into more complex backend systems or other third-party APIs to trigger some other business logic. And with cognitive services, it's the more machine learning part of chatbots, where we can try to understand the query and the utterance of a user, like to intents, because into every query or utterance of a user, there is a special intent. Like I want a pizza, then a chatbot knows, or I trained a chatbot AI that this user has a pizza intent or something like that. And also there's one more point with guided conversation. It's not only possible to have textual responses of chatbots, it's also possible to combine it with more guidance like button navigation or sending GIFs or emojis like a normal chat conversation too. And altogether, it means it's a new way of user experience. I think it's a kind of conversational user experience. What we see if you review the evolution of user experience, I think it started with some simple user interfaces and user experience with commanding over command line interfaces. Yes, of course, most developers use command line interface tooling too with modern frameworks, but it was, I think so, one of the first user interfaces. Then the next step was the first graphical user interfaces over with a mouse pointer and desktop PCs. But it was also not really natural. It was a mouse pointer that you have a bit more technical. And in the times of maybe of the first iPhone from Apple, it was a time when it comes to a bit more natural user interface with gestures on your smartphone phone, or since a few years these more conversational user experience over voice UIs like over digital assistants like the Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant, and of course chatbots over textual bots. There are on the other side, and on one side there are messenger platforms where chatbots communicate with users, like the Facebook Messenger. I think one of the biggest messenger platform. And then WhatsApp doesn't exist for with a chatbot API. Maybe in the future, but currently there isn't any chatbot or public chatbot API or SDK for WhatsApp. Then my personal favorite is Telegram as a text messenger. Then more in the Chinese market, there's WeChat, also a really popular messenger there. And of course for business, B2B use cases, it is also possible to connect a chatbot over Skype and Skype for Business. Yes. And on the other point, there is also a few smart speakers for voice bots. Like in Germany, I think it's the Amazon Echo and the Google Home smart speaker for the Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, digital assistant. Then also, of course, a competitor of the from the Chinese market. It's called Ling Long Ding Dong. It's a competition to Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant. Then, of course, Microsoft's Cortana. Then on smartphones like Samsung Galaxy, there's another digital assistant like Bixby. And of course, one of the first assistants from Apple Siri. Yes. And you see now the two kind of the messaging platforms. And one of big challenge is, I think so, every channel has its own messaging or bot API or SDK. And so we have to, implement, if you want to implement cross-platform chatbots, we have to build an abstract layer or an abstract backend to combine every or most channels for text bots or voice bots. Yes. How works a chatbot and our architecture? Firstly, we see it starts with the user. The user types over its smartphone or asks its smart speaker or its Google Assistant, OK Google, and so on. Then it goes to this the ask this channel like the Messenger, Facebook Messenger, or the smart speaker. Then it goes to the cognitive service or natural language processing, where it's part of this machine learning algorithm to recognize the correct intent what wants the user, and which there's also the training algorithm. Then we have to implement a handler to every intent what we want to recognizing. That's the part where we build the the abstract chatbot backend to implement for every chatbot intent the handler. And then there, of course, we could integrate some other third-party APIs. And on the other side, what we built for the energy sector, we integrate also the corporate network with an SAP system and the SAP ISU. That's the enterprise resource planning system for the energy sector. And we built there as an integration host a Spring Boot application, which we make accessible to the open internet over a reverse proxy with an SSL and TLS encryption, of course. For the use cases for the energy sector, we thought about chatbots minimized the support and service costs, because it's without breaks always available. There's no breaks. It can also automate process in the customer service, so that no human, also simple tasks, and no human resource is blocked by the simple tasks. So we can maybe for the energy field, query the account balance, or did some meter readings when an energy company needs current meter reading number, or of course adjust his budget billing plans. And that's all for the customer service side. And on the other side, there's a marketing side, where of course we could send quick infos about events, surveys, sweepstakes, get of course the customer feedback, and what the big advantage is also of course messenger applications like Facebook Messenger have high user retention, so it's a good way to communicate with his clients and customer over these messenger applications. Yes. So let's see that in practice. Here's my smartphone. So I open now our chatbot for the Telegram Messenger. And firstly, every chatbot on Telegram or Facebook will start with a clear starting action, like it's now starting. Now I got the response starting. We built it also, of course, multilingual. So at the beginning of the first dialogue, we could choose the correct language. In this case, we want to choose English. Then we see it's typing. Chatbot is typing there on the title headline, and then we got a short introduction. Hey, I'm the Sparkspot. I help you in process of your energy company, like meter readings or account balance, something like that. Then, of course, we could ask him some small talk. How are you, maybe? Yeah, now we got the answer. It's typing. Yeah, then he recognized the correct intent. This like how are you intent to respond correctly. And the other point is maybe how can you help me, maybe to get a bit of tutorial from him. And here is firstly a short confirmation intent that if it's prompt, if he understands it correctly, what you want, maybe yes. Then we got a list. That's what I mean with this guided conversation, with this button navigation, because there are two types. One type is this natural over intense and artificial intelligence, and the other side is over button navigation. So we can say, okay, I want to recognize my meter reading, my current. Also with some short confirmation intent. So, there's a problem because it's multilingual, but I extended this dialogue with this new feature over to send the correct results over to his emails. So I prompt the email, but I don't translate it from German to English. But in this case, I don't want to get an email from the result. So then it's now correctly. Now the chatbot has to legitimate, to authenticate, like in a normal online portal. In this case, it's a bit another authentication over phone number and his customer number. In this case, I want to use this native Telegram feature to change the keyboard for sharing his phone number, because Telegram has the phone number of the device, so I want to share it. Then the chatbot asked for the customer ID. Oh, it's wrong. I need the correct customer ID. So that's the part where I want to make sure that it's correctly. So the chatbot sends over the Twilio SDK and SMS to make a two-factor authentication. Here is the SMS, the 607 524 607 524. So now it's correct. It's correct. So the chatbot is looking for his devices and where he could record his meter readings. In this case, I built two ways. One way it's just an MVP here. One way was over sending an image and to recognize over the image text recognition service, maybe of the AWS platform or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud platform. Or the other way is to send it manually. In this case, I want to send it manually. This is what I mean, this guided conversation to explain, okay, how could looks like his meter device, and with his meter reading meter number or the last reading, so that he could see, okay, what was my last reading number. In this case, I want to check it, and now I said, okay, maybe 80,000. So it's triggering now the reverse proxy API. So this Spring Boot app, where it's triggering a function module in the SAP system. So yes, now he's responding. He gets from the SAP system the message, oh, your current or your red number is not plausible. So you have to, on the one point, you could correct it and read it. Look again at your device. Or the other way, it's a standard process from the SAP module for the energy sector. It's to make it plausible with a reason, to select a special reason of the SAP, which we'll get from a customizing table. So in this case, I don't like to correct my reading number. And now I got, in this case, of course, in German, because there's the reasons are in German. So I display only the backend values here. So in this case, I want to say, okay, the vorherige Schätzung ist zu niedrig. Yes, and then it will save his current reading number for today. And there's also much more possibilities to extend it, of course, for send a proactive meter reading reminder, and of course some other features. So the current status quo is we built a framework with this Spring Boot application on the corporate network, also in the enterprise, to connect over an RFC system with this SAP standard processes for meter reading, budget billing plans, or something like that. Also with this optical capital recognition. Then, of course, we integrated in the Facebook Messenger and the Telegram Messenger. This what I showed you was the Telegram Messenger version. We built it multilingual with some missing local keys, and of course two-factor authentication with the SMS token, and of course an authentication with a remember me function. So when I authenticate over a JSON Web Token, we could save it and refresh it to be always authenticated, because this chatbot says, okay, it's always the same customer, of course. And yes, we have this guided conversation with communication over selection buttons, with this button navigation, images and GIFs. And another new feature was we persist the data, also these messages history, to have maybe in the future more platform to control the messages history. and could more respond it. Another example was it's also possible to connect maybe Alexa with an IoT-enabled device. There I built a short example where you could scan it with to open a website to make your smartphone as an IoT-enabled device. I will open it here. Now it is connected. Alexa, open City browser.
Welcome. You can say things like, go to London or go to Berlin.
Go to London.
You asked for London.
So it opens now Google search result with
You can say things
images.
like, go to London or go to Berlin.
Go to Dortmund.
You asked for Dartmouth.
Dartmouth, okay. Go to Dortmund.
You asked for .moon.
Okay, it doesn't understand me. Or
Welcome. You can say things like, go to London or go to Berlin.
go to Munich.
You asked for Munich.
Go to Cologne.
You asked for Cologne.
Or my home city. Go to Augsburg.
You asked for Augsburg.
Okay, so my English spelling is not so good, but in this case it's a showcase. It's also an official example of the Alexa cookbook, where you can find on cookbook on GitHub. It's also possible. So now the tools and frameworks what you can use for building chatbots and voice user interfaces. There's of course a prototyping tool. It's called Storyline, where you can build without coding skill for Alexa. But it's not. I think it's more a prototyping tool. You did not can everything with it. So more a prototyping tool. Then of course the Alexa skills kit for Node.js, where you can build own custom skills or smart home skills for Amazon Alexa. Then what I like, I'm a developer, I like also to reuse some other code snippets. There's from Rob McCauley, one of the Alexa architects from Amazon, the Alexa cookbook, which you can find on GitHub. And a really cool framework, what I think, it's to build cross-platform voice apps for the Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa is the Java framework. So you build there an own server. You build an own server and implement on one code base. In this case, with Node.js, and deploy it for the channel Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa as a skill or an action on Google. And of course, from Google, there's also a tool. Formerly, it's known as API AI. Currently, it's known Google Dialogflow. It's also a tool where you can build with less programming knowledge, define some chatbot intents or with utterances and define custom and default responses. What the chatbot like a kind of content management system for chatbot dialogues. And yes, of course, there's from Facebook the with AI platform to build chatbot, and at the ending IBM Watson, where you can also build chatbots. Yes, that was my point.